You're listening to the UK Christian Hip Hop Podcast on Kingdom Culture.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the episode 19 of the UK CHH Podcast on Kingdom Culture. You're joined by Charles, DJ Cassie, Alvin Venus, and special guest, Still Shadey. What's going on, everyone? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very well. Enjoying the weather. So I brought you lot back some sunshine from Florida, so don't even complain.
You brought back too much sunshine. It's too hot. It's too hot, man. I'm burning up here.
Oh, gosh.
But I'm still in the sunshine, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Calvin, you got this all year round, haven't you? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, there's only 2 seasons here.
Two seasons?
Yeah, hot and a little bit cold.
Wow.
That's how it feels.
That's crazy. Still Shadey, how you been?
I'm relaxed, you know. I'm good. I've been indoors all day, but you know, God is good. I'm alive. Just ticking through, man. I think I'm finally off like cloud 9. I feel like reality is just really picking up. It's like, okay, you know, I've just released this body work, and now I'm just pacing through and just seeing what the day-to-days how they look like in themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you said Cloud 9. What brought you to Cloud 9? What feeling?
I feel a lot's happened in August, man. This has been the best month of the year thus far. Yeah, man, this year's been intense for loads of reasons. You know, I've really been sowing physically, mentally, financially. So I feel like I know that I really have reaped a lot this month of August. You know, both with the sold out show that KB did a week on the 16th of August. A lot of reaping has gone past this past 2 weeks, man, both with the event and with the album. So I feel like, yeah, just the responses and just really been exposed to some of the results is really been rewarding, you know. So yeah, man, it's been good. It's been good.
So after Still Shining dropped, when did you start writing, you know, Croydon Baby?
That is a good question. Still Shining dropped August. So last year.
Yeah.
I feel like the first song that came out of Croydon Baby was at the end of 2018. I think this first song was between Shadey's Sermon and Gang, a verse for Gang. So I've always been creating, you know, I don't really stop. And I feel like I hold back the roster. And even now we're sitting on like 10 plus tracks that didn't make the cut, unfortunately. That, I just feel God wants to put in its own space. So yeah, like intensely, we started creating at the start of this year, the project. However, there was already ideas, there was already songs written out. But I need to go into the archive and actually see the order. So don't quote me, but I believe it was something between Shadey's Sermon and Gang that we got created.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
So what about your inspiration? We know it's called Croydon Baby. So we can obviously piece together that has to do something with your life in Croydon and whatnot, but I'm sure it's more deeper than that.
Yeah.
Where did that kickstart inspiration come from?
Yeah. Charles, like I feel like my steps of creativity is very revelatory as I go on. So I never know the full picture as I'm just driving forward. So even the title of the album was one of the last things that took place. You know, I just really was expressing myself creatively in different formats. And then it got to that final stage where I just saw so many different aspects of myself being demonstrated in these 17 tracks, you know. And Croydon Baby, I'll tell you what, it's not a biography of my upcoming and how I was raised and my area and just all my experiences. But it's kind of more a house of just really showing the transition of who I now am and like, just always paying homage to where I came from. And I think, yeah, just in the title, I wanted to just say that I'm still that person. I've always created projects where I'm trying to express who I am today, but I've never lost sight of the shade. I've never lost sight of, you know, who I once was. So Croydon Baby was just following that trend. So
you're successful in that. I think you were successful in that because that's how I received. And it's funny because I'm a Croydon Baby as well.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh, look, you know what I mean? And you know, as I went through it, it didn't come across as biographical. but it did give you like chronicles of yourself. And it's almost like, man, look what Lord has done with this Croydon Baby kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
That's
And
how
I never think we should pull away from who we were. You know, there's power in our testimony. Like, so, yeah, I always want to relate, and I always want to go back to where I came from, because that's how we were formed. You know, we the light was there with us in that dark place. We just didn't see it. So, yeah, man.
You speak on a few tracks. I believe it's I can't remember what name of the track it is, but you talk about a struggle for temptation to going back to that lifestyle that you had before. Friends, relationships. There's one point where you spoke about one of your friends where you said the person's name and then you said I could cry. I'm not sure if you remember that, but yeah, like that kind of like
in chapter 23.
Chapter 23, that's the one. Yeah. So like, when you think about that flashback to where you've come from, what keeps you where you are now? Because obviously there's so much emotion, there's so much connection and history over 23 years. How do you stop yourself from going back to the friends that you've known so well who are not in the faith currently?
Yeah, there's a mixture of things in that, it's a deep question. Ultimately, I can't go back. You know, I've gone too far. Like, I've seen too much. But even just being human and seeing and feeling things, especially like losing close ones and stuff, I feel that's a real thing. And just being reminded of his promises. I don't know for you guys, but one of the most like personal things for me going through this transition was like my friends, my loved ones, just seeing how life can change. So and I talk about that on, I know I mentioned one of them in chapter 23, but in Enquiries sometimes I even talk about the formula. I pray for him before I sleep. Sometimes I even weep. Temptations to go back, but I'm strong when I am weak. Overcome, yes I can. That's the blood of the lamb and the words of my testimony through these raps. Yeah, that's the plan. And a lot of my deep songs really, which come out as psalms, is really like, which I feel like King David was going through this process of working things out as he was expressing, So when I was writing that lyric, I really felt myself being reminded as I was speaking it out by the catered to the Holy Spirit to just really say, yeah, this is how I feel, but this is the fact that we have overcome it, So yeah, man, his promises they hold us, they yes and amen. So
there's a tug though, isn't there? There's a pull, those friendships that we have, because as you said, you said you're not sure about us. I can definitely side with that to say that, the biggest struggle and the fight was with my friends who would say things like, again, this is just my expression of what I went through, but, I'd rather you be homosexual, or it's like you're dead to me. Things like that would come straight back at you. It's like, well, how do I deal with that in this new transition of life and so forth, and losing those people that you were so close to? I guess it's a tussle and a fight to go through, and I think you expressed that very well, especially towards the end of the album. You really went into more of a deep thoughted, but a more
aggressive, like the thought where I'm at, the first half of the project's really to incorporate and just really celebrate and kind of just celebrate creativity and really just express like more mild concepts but pull out of that. So songs like Self-Respect, songs like Gang, I'm pulling out a thought, and just really staying on that surface of the thought, like who I once was in Gang, or Self-Respect, my viewpoint. But by the time we get to Motivate, we start to really vent and really, really pull you in now into like another layer of some of the thoughts through. But
like on reality raps. Reality raps in the track. Consecration, you said reality raps. Like you said, I'm not here to give you this kind of like candy floss nonsense that you're getting from like celebs. I'm here to give you reality raps. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, man, because I feel like even in the industry that I'm in, I'm penetrating. I'm I'm in front and behind. I'm in between these things where today's climate, especially through like just through the overconsumption as well, like there's music everywhere. There's a reason that's enough, which goes on to the intention of 17 tracks. I really wanted to pull people into this reality and not just feel like they can just come chew it for a bit and then go. No, you're gonna sit on this and you're gonna soak it in. But yeah, just the reality raps really just painting this picture of there's truth here, you know, there's something which is more than the eyes can see, and some of this stuff is hard to swallow, you know. So yeah, and I feel like still so I really mentioned that in Consecration because I feel like that's one of the, you guys let me know, I feel like Consecration was really one of the tracks I was looking forward. I didn't know what to expect, you know, putting that out, you know, especially in the place of, you know, it's a deep term, it's a deep conversation, and I know some of my listeners, it might go over their heads. I was even looking forward to people just going on Google and saying, what's consecration really mean? You know? So I was speaking to the Spirit about that one and really just saying, "Bro, how is that gonna be received?" You know. So we could have gone deeper.
I mean, you're right. It should go deeper, really. But here's the thing: is okay. So you mentioned the 17 tracks thing. You mentioned Consecration. Like, having had your previous project come out, where are you now, and what are you trying to achieve with this project? Like, do you have a vision in mind, or are you just going, look, man, I just want it cool. I see all the post-it notes on the wall. I see all your lyrics and stuff. It's quite normal, by the way. But I like that because, I mean, that's a guy who's, I mean, I don't know if you write your songs in that space right there, but, you know, like when you take it from the walls to the record, so to speak, and then your album, like, what's the aim? Like, was there a vision in mind? You know what I mean? Like, you have a mixture of sounds. Yeah, bro. It sounds like you're going a certain direction. You know what I mean? So yeah, let me hear you.
To be honest, the aim, I don't think the aim's ever changed, and like how I came into this thing is how I really want to go out. You know, the ethos of everything behind Still Shadey is really championing the excellence in the Christian community to the rest of the world. We got this truth here. We got this power here that is slept on and underrated and unseen, especially in the UK, Europe side of things, where I feel there's this crack happening now where we're beginning to understand, wait, not even just good music, but in terms of this good news, you know, I'm really putting these things together. So that's my burden, that's my desire, to really just package something unapologetic without conforming any way, nature, or no way, shape or form, but also making sure it speaks to today's climate, you know. And that balance is so interesting, you know, because I've spoken to a lot of men on both sides of that coin, you know, being relevant, but being so conformed to Jesus, who was radically different, you know.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Those conversations, without mentioning names.
Yeah.
What were the conflicts? Let's start with the conflicts, because I'm pretty sure, all right, and we get it a lot, don't we, Charles and Kat?
Yeah, I've spoken to Charles, 100, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. People ask, how can you use that for the Lord? You know, listen, you know, let me hear your take at some of those conversations, some of those struggles, and your message to those people that, you know, that may ask you, how do you know if God is calling you to do that?
Yeah. There's the overall question that I feel like every Christian artist just needs to have peace with, and that is, who we doing it for? And I feel because of that, I'm always going to lean more to the left of the fact that, you know, despite being relevant, despite wanting to speak to the masses, listen, a love of the world will be an enmity with God. Man's always going to be different, you know what I mean? I'm always going to get some sort of hate, some sort of flack, some sort of restriction. But, like, despite that, well, not even despite that, in that same lung, because you're doing it for him, and because you're repping. That is the greatness. That's the litness. That's the power. That's the attraction. That's the everything. So I feel like, yeah, man, I'm a Christian, and I'm always gonna put him first. And in that lung of doing it his way, he's gonna grant you with the faithfulness to do it exceedingly abundantly greater than whatever other person could try to do it, you know. I think of, I'm sorry, hold me down if I'm kind of swaying off the question. But yeah, I was even reading King Solomon, bruv. Like, this guy was the wisest man in the whole Bible. Some say in the world, fam. This guy asked God, the plug, the main man, the main source, you know, can I have this wisdom? Like, this power didn't come from anything else. So I feel like who are we pulling the inspiration from, the world or God? Like, you got to really decide, because if you're looking at the patterns of the world to try and be relevant anyway, you're going to fall short. So yeah, man, so the conversations I've had is, are we really showing, how clearly can we show that, you know? Because sometimes we can get so caught up in trying to be relevant, we forget that identity that we carry, you know.
You know, just to add to that, I mean, and this is for anyone that's in books, is in the arts, not just like rapping and producing that money.
Yeah.
Like when we commanded, I think it was in Mark 16:15, go into the world and preach. He didn't say go into the church, and that's like the small C church, you know, the physical building. The preacher's there. That's his mandate. You know, that's what he's called to do.
Yeah.
When he says to go to when the Pharisees ask him, you know, which commandment is more important, Jesus just literally said the first half and the second half. Go love your neighbor. Who is your neighbor? And he used a parable to explain who your neighbor is. It's not just physically your neighbor, it's people that you're enemies. These people are maybe they're close but not close. You know, your culture would divide, so to speak. And so, you know, when he says don't conform to the world, it basically saying don't practice what they do.
Yeah.
This is
gotta be there. We gotta be there.
You gotta be you gotta be in the world, just not of that world.
Yeah.
We function in a different way.
Yeah.
Because we're mandated to use whatever we're called to do to preach the gospel. And so, you know, this is for the. I don't mean to rain on your parade or anything, man. I hear that a lot, and I just felt compelled to just outline that, you know, if we're going to make disciples, we have to come from our comforts to go into different areas to do such. And so, you know,
I'm in complete agreement with you, bro. And you're stirring me up just really hearing that, you know, because it's refreshing, you know. And I feel like it just needs to go with that same lung that, you know, you said we have to use them. You know, I don't believe that we can just be doing this career as another, you know, recreational opportunity. We actually have to be out here using every single good and perfect gift to give him glory. You feel me? I feel like we're all full-time ministers. So that's why I couldn't just be an excellent rapper without co-signing the excellence. So I think that's important as well, man. And yeah, man. And in that lung as well, I believe if we're using these gifts, that's where miracles are seen, you know, like the powers of doing something in power, it creates miracles. And, you know, reading the Gospels, you will see that the miracles that Jesus done, it made him famous. Like, I can't remember, I think it's in Mark where he talks about, you know, he did the miracles in the city, and because of these miracles, all the healings, word went round to everyone, you know, not just Christians, not just followers of his, just like everyone, they heard of his good works. You know what I mean? And I feel like as we weren't just doing so-and-so, we were doing significant things that in that, like, people were changed, people came to salvation, people were healed, people were touched, people were lifted up, depression left, joy came into their hearts, things that we can use the creative side of things to do. And yeah, man, as you do those things, they open up doors, man, which is encouraging to every creative, because we're not just doing it for no reason. We're actually in understanding that as we do those things, change happens, you know. And as change happens, God will champion those that keep themselves lowly.
That's real.
You mentioned your song Consecration. Who was your influences in that song? In fact, who are your influences in your music?
In terms of sonics, in terms of
sonics and your flow, because even some of your flow, I must admit, in Consecration, I kind of caught a bit of a Stormzy flow in there.
Okay, I love Stormzy. That's flow.
Yeah.
I don't think I intentionally, and this is not even really playing from the question, Cass.
Yeah.
I don't honestly take from anyone. However, I believe there is a grace that, you know, like the Bible says, you know, we perish without lack of knowledge. I feel like we need to understand today's industry, the climate, and what people are listening to. And we just were in, like, everything comes from God. So my inspiration is the Holy Spirit. But doing that, I feel like, you know, I think naturally the Spirit knows how to bring that message towards who needs to listen. I'm surprised you said Stormzy for Consecration.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a flow in it. It was like it's just the way you said a point and where you kind of grit your teeth, and that's kind of like when you said it, it was kind of like that, and that's how Stormzy kind of does that. So it's like, and even the way you flow, even where the flow went, it sounded a bit like him. And I'm not saying that you're following him, but
of course,
we had a conversation like this before on one of our other podcasts, or probably one to come actually, and basically where. Because, you know, we have a lot of music we've listened to so much music over the years that you don't realize subconsciously that you have picked up a lot of things from other people.
Experiences.
Unintentionally, but it just...
That's so important. That's kind of why while I'm in project mode, I cancel out. Like, I just type in the studio because I know I do it naturally. I want recent rant about type beats as well. Today's climate of YouTube and the type of beats, you know, it's when Stormzy popped up, Stormzy type beat, everyone sounds like Stormzy, you know. When Migos came, everyone wants to sound like Migos. When comes like K-Trap, they want to follow that. So I try as much to consecrate myself from everything that I could be exposed to. And I just want to really hail up Emmanuel Sampa, my producer, you know, incredible beat maker who I can just sit with, and I feel like God really uses him to really just create a surface for me to just follow that vibe, and that energy can just be birthed in that unity of us just fellowshipping. And then
what's his name again? Say his name.
Emmanuel Sampa. His producing name's just Sampa.
That sound great beats, yeah.
Finish that plug, man. Finish that plug. A lot of people give the producer. I'm sure you're giving him love, but like, you know, I know there's rappers listening to this, and you know, if he did a good work, and he did, we all co-sign that here.
Yeah,
he deserves a little spot at this point. I've got my phone right now, ready to find him on social media. What, he's on Instagram? I mean,
100%. Sampa, if you just Manny Samps on Instagram. Yeah, that's bro, man. That's bro, man. And
here he is.
You see him, yeah.
So saying what you said, right? So if you have a song and you're listening back to it, and if you feel you sound similar to someone in secular, would you not then release that song? Even if you didn't intentionally do it, but would you just say, I'm not going to do it then? I'm not going to release that one.
I haven't gone through that experience.
You haven't got that experience yet? Okay.
But I do subconsciously, I do consciously have noticed in the past, this may sound like, do you think this sounds like so? But I know where it came from, so I'll be confident in that truth. And
I got a bit of a pressing one for you, bro. In one of the songs, I can't remember what song it is. Is it Rainbow? What song was it? Is it
man, you gotta press him all the way, man.
You gotta press him like the great.
Come on, man. He's the spotlight. It's the Spanish Inquisition now. Like, come on.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. But I think you'll know it because you spoke about Some Have Sold Their Soul. A track you talk about, Some Have Sold Their Soul. It's not Never Enough. Is it In Control? No.
Sure, the lyrics is on the wall there.
Pavarotti.
Pavarotti.
Oh, that song there. That song.
Things on TV. Oh,
Yeah, that song.
Yeah, yeah,
Should've played
definitely. So that tune, yeah. You spoke about, you know, some have sold their soul and so forth in terms of for the music industry.
Yeah.
Could you please enlighten us with any kind of experience, or because you released a track which is, I don't, it's not on Croydon Baby, which was Sold My Soul, wasn't it?
So, yeah.
By the way, and you made reference to it again in Croydon Baby. And myself, I've spoken to a few UK CHH artists about their experience with that side of music, mixed up with my flanking question, which is, you are overt, you are direct, you are absolute in your faith. How then will you combat the growing pressure and demand for music artists to, quote unquote, sell their soul for fame and success? Because you're going that way. We can all see you're going that way. So not going that way to sell your soul, but going that way in terms of influence and direction.
It just cracked off, Charles.
Oh, no.
But you're here, though. I can hear you.
Did you hear what I said, or?
How something about the climate today. How do we combat the climate?
How do you combat that? Because obviously you're going in the way of influence, and obviously you want to be in the BBCs. You want to be up in that place.
Yeah.
But you're direct with your faith. You're absolute with your faith. You're overt.
Yeah.
How are you going to?
Well, they're overt as well. They're overt as well. Like the profanity, the glamorization. I can't. I remember it was 2017. I think Kanye said something like, "I sold myself to the devil was a crappy deal."
Yeah.
They're overt, you know, and not to say that that's not my only vein of saying, yeah, I'm gonna be overt as well, because it's funny, I don't even try to be, but I believe it's by His grace that I say what I have to say in that moment. It's interesting. I'm very diplomatic. I sit on both sides of the coin, and I see the strengths in both. You know, really, if you want to go out in an influential place, you might have to cap it sometimes to be able to go into that space and speak to the people. But that being said, I've been on BBC twice, worked with them on 2 productions. I've been on ITV. I haven't been held back yet by His grace. Could we do more? Is it because I'm too vocal? Who knows? But on that topic, I remember the first time, you know, I worked with an amazing company called Rogan Productions for a BBC production called Stabbed. I was just talking about my background and kind of my childhood trauma with violence and how I got out of that by the grace of God. And I sat down with an artist after I released that, and he thought I was a bit mediocre in my response to how I got over it, you know? And that was really interesting because he really sold into, because I really felt, even you saying I'm overt, he said you still spot, and this is he said he dropped some gems, and I took some points from what he was saying, and it's debatable, but he was in a nutshell, he was basically saying that though you articulate yourself, you articulated yourself in a way that anyone could understand you. They could see that something,
Man.
you know, that you began to
something. You kind of froze at something.
Oh, sorry. So I spoke about, you know, my past trauma, and then I came to God, and you know, gradually I began to stop doing certain things, certain habits. I no longer had a desire to do those certain things. So I explained it in a way that I feel like anyone could understand, even if they didn't fully get. But what he seemed to think wasn't enough is the terminologies one used. He's like, you need to say things that's going to go over their heads. You need to say stuff like, yeah, I got filled with the Holy Spirit. Yeah, I got delivered. Yeah, I got like all that type of stuff where people are going to have to think, what's he talking about? And he said only that, this is his theory, only then when the Christian body does that, will then people have to start saying, yeah, they think you're crazy, but if they start seeing, you know, things change. Like even yesterday we were doing outreach, bro, and it was such an interesting place. Let me just hail up my older brother, Kay's ministry, Christians at Your Service, is an evangelical ministry outreach that goes around, yeah. And it was so interesting because we were literally, we saw so many conflicting things, but because we were in open space, you know, we couldn't like lay hands on people, and we couldn't pray for people the way they needed praying for. And because of that, we personally felt the move of the Spirit was limited. So now we're in a place we're in today's society where you can't just be laying out and casting out, seeing the movement of acts happen. But maybe that's why there's a limitation in the move of today's society. Maybe that's why, like, we're not seeing more people raised from the dead and greater works than these will you still see. Maybe that's why, maybe. So he was saying, until we start talking a language, yeah, like Shadey, he was really encouraging me, trying to say that, you know, don't hold back when you're on that platform. But I'm at the same Bible would then say we need wisdom, you know. We can't just be out breaking tongues, because if they come and they see, they'll think you're crazy. You know, there's this, Jesus was so perfect, man. He was the most diplomatic, but the most reckless at the same time. So, it's interesting. There's a fight between that, but my answer to that is, in a nutshell, let the Spirit lead. Governor B says it the best. He says, always chase the peace. If you are in a position where you want to say something, you know, whether on a track or whether in an interview, chase that peace. Chase what's going to make you feel fully satisfied in what you say. You get me? So, and if you do that, I believe, you know, by His grace.
Hey, who's that ministry you're talking about?
Kays, Christians at Your Service. It's under the ministry, Planting Ministry. That's my blood brother, man. He's even a big part of my salvation story. You know, when I was on the road, he just really.
That actually leads me to my next question. We've in past episodes talked about hip hop and its role in the community and its role in the church, and sometimes the lack of support from the church. What do you have? Accountability partners like Christians at Your Service? Is there church? Is there people that you know, part of a group? Or how do you live life?
Good question. Sorry, I just quickly rolled off it. But yeah, most definitely accountability is everything. I've been a Christian coming up to 3 years in December. I've had some incredible experiences and just learning how to be accountable to people. But for a year now, I've been under Ark Forest Gate. Shout out Pastor Peter in East London. So and it was weird. I remember I had my first show in Italy, and this time last year, and I remember when I saw the email, I was just like, yeah, I'm going. Like, cool, I'm there. And I just remember it felt weird that I just could decide to do anything I wanted. Like, if I want to fly there, I can go, you know? And then I remember, like, it just felt weird. I didn't have anyone, like, superior or, like, just to go and say, yeah, I'm about to do this, you know? And Italy was a secular event. I still do secular events by His grace, and I'll continue to do so because that's where we got to be. But it was a secular event, and where I was, I still saw the challenges that even if I had someone to pray with me intensely, or had someone to just keep up to date with me, or even travel with me, like, you know, I remember I only went with my videographer at the time, and he was even in the world. So I remember God was already kept saying there, like, you need a team. I had just left my last management and I was doing it by myself, and then I remember just saying, yeah, I need a manager again. I need a church. And I said, okay, God, can you make this happen? And after doing that, it was supernatural how I just had a whole covering unit come around me, you know, including Ark Church and my new management and just the label stuff as well. Like, I don't know how I was doing it before, man. You need covering, man. And just shout out my inner circle, Agape. You know, they know who they are as they listen to this. Yeah, man, just not everyone's going to see you bleed, you know? especially in a place where you got to be transparent and you got to pour. I remember when I said it in Still Shining, sorry to vent on guys. I remember I said out, Still Shining. I said, yeah, man, I'm accountable. Check me. I said, whatever stage I do, like, you can always message me and keep me to account. And I remember one of my mentors, he said, bro, you can't be accountable to everyone. He said, like, people got different views and you can't satisfy everyone. And that
can't satisfy everyone.
yeah, that made me feel like, man, you can't satisfy everybody. But it's all this year, I'm really clocking that, mate. No matter how open that Charles says that I am and overt I am, people still on a daily basis check me and say, yo, are you Christian or are you Kanye Christian? Like, that's a real question.
Terminology. Hold on. Pause. Let me ask you, was it a Christian
real, man,
or a non-Christian who asked you that? Are you a Christian or a Kanye Christian? Woo!
I believe it was a Christian.
It was a Christian that said that to you.
Oh,
yeah, man. It's always the Christians.
So so saying that, do when other Christians say things like that to you, does it make you feel a bit discouraged?
In my flesh, maybe a bit, but my spirit, is my comforter. It's also interesting. Like in my responses, I always give them time as much as I can, and it usually the questions from some of them, it comes from a good heart, even though it may be a bit ignorant. So and I love them for the fact. I remember Look Inside, my second single that came out this year. That was a parable for the scripture, 1 John 4:4. Greater is he that's in me, that's he in the world. My Messiah spoke in parables. I believe artists, the creative, have to speak in parables. So it blesses those who have the revelation of it, but it also blesses those that haven't come into that space of understanding yet. So, but some people didn't understand that, man. And I believe, but the person that messaged me that in that occasion, he desired to understand. He was just like, yeah, he challenged me. So I thought, in the fact that he's interested in knowing the depths of what I meant, let me explain it to him. But unfortunately, you can't always do it. So,
I want to move on to one of your other songs, Oily. Where did you get that name from? Because when I listen to the lyrics, like when I hear a song, the title of a song, I will then kind of listen to the lyrics to find out where that sort of came from. Yeah. You did mention that you're dripping in holy water, but you didn't mention holy oil. So I was thinking, so where did oily come from then?
Yeah. The drip is so oily.
You said, but could you mention water? You don't mention oil in it at all.
Drip. I mentioned oil.
Did you? It sounded like you say dripping in holy water. Did you say that? I'm sure it said.
Dripping into drip is so oily. I think that was self-explanatory. But I go into another oil reference later on in the line. Oily is an amazing story, but in a nutshell,
so even that had a Joanna, like you said, you had a drug bar, bar in there. So that's why I said you have some influences, though, don't you? You get what I mean? I'm digging, man.
That's an intentional reference.
Okay, that was intentional.
I did that for Afrobeat and I did that for Osh. So different to your and also drug bar. So I hope. Well, I don't. Yeah, I assume that people would hear that and be like, I saw what you did there. Yeah, man.
Honestly, me and Charles are Arsenal fans, so Drogba still gives us a little chill. I still have you know what I mean? I love the guy to a point, Honestly, I heard it. I was
man. By innately, I am anyway.
Well, I'll kind of describe your flow as oily. I personally would say very, very slick. You're very versatile. Because Oily had a reggae type vibe to it. It was kind of whoa, you was really experimenting with different sounds, textures, rhythms, patterns. It was
man.
I think the whole of the album was like that. It's like an experimental piece. It really went to different places. Like one of my standout tracks, Rainbow. really, really like that. You know, it was so surprising because listen to The Light in the Shade, listen to Still Shining, and listen to this when you heard, because you like pianos. If I could be wrong, but I think you like keys a lot.
Like emotional pieces.
Yeah, really, yeah, exactly. So to hear you have a guitar track, and especially built in this manner as well, Rainbow, that's a really good track. What was your, because you tussle with faith on that one, don't you? You're tussling with your faith and your belief and whatnot. So how did that come about? What was your mind behind that track?
Yeah, I definitely wrote that one very late in the night. That's usually when I really have that's really when my soul like kind of just pours out. Purely because after a long day, you can really look back at the challenges that you faced. So that kind of weary soul that's kind of just gone through a lot and just wants to reflect. So I knew I needed it in the album. However, I didn't want it to just. You said I tussle, but by His grace, I believe the final message is victory, even just by the title, that being Rainbow, the promise. So yeah, I wanted that restoration. I wanted that hope. I wanted that, you know, that element of, you know, Croydon negatively stereotyped. However, despite all of that, you know, look at where I am, and I just big up Najee Brazil that journey.
A really, really good feature. And let's segue on to Cry Sometimes. I mean, that is very heartfelt and deep track. I mean, seriously, like hearing about you know, the challenges you had with your family, especially like, you know, the life that you used to live before. Could you just give us a bit of a snapshot behind that track a bit?
Cry Sometimes was the last audio to be recorded and sent for mastering for the whole album, because it was the hardest. I had the key. It was one of the tracks I actually had the key in my head before we even produced the melody. And Cry Sometimes is the rain. So God showed me that even where it had to be in the album was right before Rainbow. So Cry Sometimes, half of the lyrics was written at the start of the year. No, Christmas. It was written in Christmas time, 2018. And I just never knew I would even release those lyrics, you know. And out of respect to my family, my mum, I just didn't know it was for me. So closest track to my heart for this season. And Cry Sometimes, that's man, it was just a vent, it was just a space.
Obviously letting people into like a deep part of your life. I mean, sharing these gems and jewels in your life that you've gone through, especially your family listen to it as well. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders in terms of how you convey that story. Again, truth is paramount. It has to be, you know, but obviously there are things that you are saying that might not, you know, work well for family member, even though it's truth. How do you balance that?
Just honoring everyone in it. I don't ever want to speak on a speaker's perspective that will demand more. So I feel like keeping it simple and really speaking my pain, speaking it from my place, and I feel like that's the best way to because I could have spoken about it more. I could have said so much more. So I don't want to do too much, but
coming to the end of the album, listening to the whole thing, I get this sense that there's so much more inside of you, like you're just getting started. Do you have that same feeling yourself? Do you feel like there's so much more to squeeze from Still Shadey?
So I had to talk to the team. It was supposed to be 23 tracks at the start. 23.
This
I
guy
was going to ask you about the 17, but it was
17 is just watered down, bro. There's no spiritual, symbolic 17. Listen, 17 is just a watered down 23. 23 tracks are supposed to be the symbolic to my age, because I'm 23 years old. But yeah, just we were sitting on just over 25, I think 30. But I know those 17 were needed. Yeah, man. Yeah, but yeah, Charles, there's more.
Well, next year you can release 24 then.
Yeah, people have been talking about chapter 24. You know, chapter 23 was the 23rd year of my life where I'm at. Yeah. So maybe not every year, but 100% will be releasing more chapters.
You're talented, bro. 20. I'm so glad you did 17.
Yeah,
17.
so talented.
I mean, how long is that? It's way over an hour and something.
It's an hour and 4, I believe.
Yeah. And it was hard to actually stay engaged for an hour. You know.
Yeah.
To fully receive it just for this, you know what I mean? And so, I realized that, hold on, wait a second, I'm not in my 20s. I'm about to leave my 30s. And so I was remembering, obviously, cats remember this, you know, sitting and listening to vinyl for over an hour was an event. Like, you had no distractions. Like, we weren't wrestling with cell phones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, like, when I do listen to stuff for over an hour, it's usually in the car or when I'm mowing the lawn or when I'm doing something. I rarely sit and do nothing for an hour.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think your team should really think about scaling down the project a little bit more so we can receive it more.
Yeah.
I would hate, and I hope that anyone who hasn't got the album yet, to go out and listen to it, because, yeah, you're going to listen to it in chunks. Find your time to listen and engage with it. There's so much gems in it that get lost in its volume, you know what I mean? And so, you know, and Cass is a DJ, like, she's looking for tracks that she can put on her, you know, her shows, and she's like the intros, how long the intros are going to be before the song kicks on. And, you know, there's some songs that even I get to mix and master that, like, I ask him, do you really want to wait 20 to 30 seconds before I hear something other than this intro? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, yeah, and also, like, we live in a playlist generation.
Yeah.
Where people receive a song, you know, that they found on a playlist because they don't know what to look for. It's like you said, we've got so much music out these days. Like, who?
Well, let's leave it there, and we'll catch you next time for episode 18, God willing. So, much love, take care, and be blessed. Peace.
I'm actually telling the audience how to listen to this EP. You need to set some time aside, because you're not going to waste your time, because there's some realism, there's some hyper realism. Like, you really pronounce the pain and the struggle, and it's interwoven in a beautiful way that, you know, God's redeeming grace is constantly, like, peppered, almost well timed. Like, you're not gonna like, if you go through a 16, you're not gonna miss the fact that this is from a Christian that lived his life. You know what I mean? Definitely. Even though he's 23. So you're young enough to relate to the youth, and there's plenty of gems that is hidden in all these tracks that I employ anyone that's listening to this. Yes, you're gonna have to give it some time, but it'll be well worth it. And your team.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Calvin. I just want to quickly add to that as well, that none of it, all of it was intentional. That 17 was meant to be, you know, and I'm super proud to just create such a body of work that I know is going to last a very long time. And yeah, man, I knew I wanted to create something that I honestly didn't want people to just eat it up and then leave. You know, I want people to say, you know, I'm still trying to get through Chance's album. Like, because the fact is, I really want people to just know that music lives on more than just at the moment. So whether people are stumbling across things on the playlist later on in a few weeks or a few months, that's how us as a team are gonna market it. You feel me? Like, pulling out the singles, pulling out creative projects to just expand that. You know, by His grace, we've got a short film that's gonna pull 6 of the tracks together later on in the year. So we just really want to embody it in a way that, despite if you listen to it in depth the first time or you're just coming on board, you know, it's always going to be refreshing to you, you know, because it's everlasting by His grace.
Come on. And what I really like about it, it surprised me because as I'm a hip hop head from day. And I used to remember those albums when I used to go and get them from HMV and spin it around the back, and you'll see 21 tracks. You'll be like, I'm going to enjoy this. You know what I mean? So I definitely understand what Calvin's saying as well. But from my point of view, it's like, yes, because I will be mowing the lawn, or I'll be you know, laying laminate or doing something in my house for my family and whatnot, and plugging in, I got 3 hours, let me do this. And you're right, Calvin, like take some time to listen to this, you know, and go through it and really like go on that journey with Still Shadey in this project, especially from the deep trap synth of Consecrate over to the light bubbly melody of Rainbow. I mean, it's the contrasts are great, and I think you really convey that and get that across in this piece of music, man.
Yeah, I second that. I mean, I think the point I was trying to make, and hopefully it wasn't lost, is that because I'm in close contact to the teenage years a lot. Like there's like 500, 600 kids, and I coach football as well. And like when you ask them what album you listen to, they look at you like you just spoke Chinese. They don't listen to albums. And so I learned, it's taught me how to mix and master differently. Like the singles are mixed and mastered in a certain way than the album tracks. And I miss, like as a DJ, I miss listening to it. Like you said 21 tracks, you'd be like, yeah, like I missed, man, double E, you remember the double CDs?
Double CD?
I missed that. You know the crazy thing is, some guy today told me, hey, Cal, I've got this cassette. All right. One of those reverse plays. So you play it at the other side of the album. Do you remember when it was only one side? And then it was two sides. And I was looking at this cassette and I'm like, rah, we come such a long way. And so he wants me to digitize it, which is fun because I like load of tape machines and stuff. But it really it helped me remind me of how like we consume music these days. And so like at the same token, you know, my mission is to get people to listen to this album. You know what I mean? But I'm also telling them how you could receive this album. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're gonna, when you see it, like a look, you know, because I'm connected to a lot of the youth. I know they're gonna be like, but there was 17 tracks, coach. There's 17, you know what I mean? I know what they're gonna say.
We're gonna pull that out with the visuals. We're gonna pull that out with all the things that's to follow.
I'm sure you will, man. I'm just saying, like, because I know I've got a lot of younger gen watching, and I'm gonna say, look, yes, it's a monster, but there's a lot to marinate.
Just before you go, could you delight the listeners with a freestyle?
No pressure.
Yeah, never pressure, man. Literally over half my life now, the boys been rapping. The substance changed, but who would have imagined that me sitting in the living room can turn to interviews? Miracles at its finest. Don't tell me God isn't true. So if you're listening, I'm telling you, man, I've seen signs and wonders. I've learned to trust the quiet times, but in the hunger, careful you ain't led astray. I haven't even eaten today, but I've always got an appetite and I'm always satisfied. Miracles don't come through the world, but only Adonai. Adonai. I said that 3 times because I really need to get it right. So I Halloween, I used to do the rago ting. I had to put the belly down. There's no more mask on my skin. I struggled with identity. Caught up with the patterns. Must have forgot who I was meant to be. Biology over chemistry. My old friends don't remember me. At least that's how it feels. They think I've forgotten them, but I still think about them still. I pray for them before I sleep. Sometimes I even weep. But I ain't never going back. And now I feel complete. So we just linked up with the G from KC Mix. And I'm just amazing that this freestyle does the trick. Because I just really want to honor you for listening. It's lit. God bless you all the time. Yeah, that is it. Blessings.
Yeah. See, this...
this is when we need like the Westwood. The
silence is the coldest.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's great to have you. Honestly, it's great to have you, man. And I pray the best for your project, Croydon Baby. That it reached the heights it's supposed to, and then it was a step onto where God wants to take you even. Okay, cool. We're gonna wrap up there for episode 19. Catch us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast. I mean, all over the place, from kcmix.com, wherever you takes your fancy, you can catch us. I've been Charles, Calvin Venus, DJ Cassie, and with a special guest, Still Shadey, on the UK CHH podcast. Peace.
You're listening to the UK Christian Hip Hop Podcast on Kingdom Culture.